podcast for?
Um, I have been doing the podcast since 2021,
All right.
2022. Yeah, yeah. I think I have we're recording by the way.
Yep.
I think I have I don't know 25 to 30 episodes maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I sometimes I don't record as much as I should, or I can't find good guests, or I can't find the guests I want,
Yep.
or just life. But honestly, sometimes not that I don't want to give up. I'm like, man, maybe I should just let it go. But then there's a part of me that's like, no, keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'll be here for a while. I don't ever expect to get paid for it. I don't expect to get huge sponsors. I don't expect you know. I'm just more doing it for anybody who wants to listen.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like if you're passionate about it and that you have that intention in regards to doing it for something more than just making a dollar, then that's where.
Yeah. I think originally the reason I started it was because I get so inspired by other podcasts. I'm like, well, maybe I can inspire one or two people on my podcast, and maybe they can listen to a couple of guests, and they can get new ideas, or get new hope, or just see a different side of life, and just get a different perspective on it.
Yeah, even if it just changes one person's life, man, you're making an impact. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to make my own like little motivational videos. So 2017, I started watching motivational videos at like 5 in the morning before the gym. Um, More like workout videos, but
Yeah.
they were like motivational. And then I started making my own, and then you know, um, like 2021, I started making them like every day, and then I was going through some stuff, and I stopped making them, and I never, I imagine, oh, nobody watches these anyways, and then there was a few times where people would be like, "Hey, man, what happened?" Like, I would look forward to your motivational videos in the morning, man. Like, you would get me going, you would get my day started. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize, people watch. One day I was at Gold's Gym in West Covina at the mall, and this this woman working out was like, "Hey, I've seen your motivational videos before. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
inspire people." And I was like, "Me, really?" you know. And so I guess like I said, I don't do it for the whole world, but maybe just for that one person.
Well, it's interesting because I think like this world of like social media, we're always looking for some form of acknowledgement, like through likes or people commenting. But like what you just shared, because I've done a lot of that over the years, making video content, and it's all been around men's mental health and trying to share my story to inspire others. And you don't realize it, but there's a whole lot of people you're inspiring who don't acknowledge it in the sense of like seeing a like or a video like or a comment. But it's like what you said, when you stop doing something that they're used to and then they reach out, you realize that you're actually reaching a lot more people than you expect. So that's why when I do anything now, it's like I'm doing it because this is something that I want to give back and I want to share, regardless of who sees it or who acknowledges it, because it's, that one person, that one domino that falls creates a whole domino effect of people that they'll inspire. So,
Yeah, I when I first started it, I remember I was like so obsessed with how many like viewers and listeners and followers. And one of my friends, he has a podcast. He's also very successful, and he was like, "Don't look at the numbers." He was like, "Just do it,"
yeah.
And so, I don't really look at the numbers anymore. Sometimes I get an email from like my podcaster from the website I use
Yep.
with how many like listeners I got this last month, or this last week, or since the last episode, and I'll post it. But that's about it. Other than that, I don't go into the website. I'm no longer obsessed with how many people are listening or watching or downloading or following. You know, um, so I think just like Instagram and social media,
Yeah.
once you get obsessed with like numbers, it's not fun
No,
anymore.
that's right. Yeah.
It's not fun. I think at one point I remember when people were buying millions of followers on Instagram. I was like, man, should I buy some followers too? And then I looked at how much it cost to get that many, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good. Never mind." you know.
Yeah, well, and half the time they're just bots. They're not even real accounts.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. And you know, it's, you know, you have, not, I mean, not that it matters to me anyways, but you have these Instagram profiles with, you know, millions of followers, and you go look at, like, say, one of their pictures or videos, and it has like 10 likes. You're like, oh, okay, that,
Y-
like, he paid for
Exactly.
that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and or even with me, I mean, I only have, I don't know, maybe a little less than 3,000 followers, and I don't really get comments or likes, but I look at the numbers, and I mean, if I do look at the numbers, I'll see I get views, you know, like um like if I'm trying to uh promote my podcast, like, say, like this month right now, if I look at my dashboard for Instagram, I have less than 3,000 followers, but my views right now are like 50,000,
Yeah.
and I haven't even posted anything that's like viral.
Yeah. It's all about quality, not quality, not quantity. You know, what I mean, when it comes to that sort of stuff.
So I mean, you know, I guess people are always watching. They just, you know, they just don't engage, which I don't necessarily need. I just, if people want to listen, people want to watch, that's cool. You know,
Yeah.
that's you know, and if they want to be inspired, then that's perfect. You know, that's how, you know, that's how it goes. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name's Troy Lang. I'm the owner of Culture OC, which is a performance and recovery biohacking wellness center here in Newport Beach. We work with different technologies such as hyperbaric oxygen chamber, red light, cold plunging, saunas, and the real intention behind Culture OC was bringing some of these therapies to more mainstream. When we talk about the oxygen chamber, for instance, something that most people if they'd heard of it, was something you'd find in a hospital setting. But really, there's just so much advantages to a quality of life and longevity long term with using these technologies to really, you know, slow the aging process down, help with our recovery and performance, and increase our longevity. So that's my story, and happy to be here on the podcast, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. Well, I mean, I came through.
Yeah,
We're here on a Sunday at Cultural Sea in Newport Beach. Beautiful weather outside. We got a beautiful view. Um, you know, I've been coming here for a couple months now.
yeah,
You know, I'm always working. I'm always driving, and you know, occasionally I'm like, man, I'm tired. Like, I need a cold plunge. And I don't know how. I think one time I was just looking on Google, and I found this place, and you know, I was like, let me go try this one out. You know, there's a few in this area. You know, maybe like three or four, and this is my favorite one. This is now the only one I go to. It's funny because um, since last year I was working at a barbershop called American Barbershop in Santa Ana. They also have one in Orange, and the owner of the owner of the Orange location had a community event a couple weeks ago, and one of the vendors there was Sweat House.
yep,
I had seen them on Google before, but you know, they had like a cold plunge outside, you know, so I jumped in, and they were like, you know, you should come here, and I was like, I kind of got a place, but you know, there's a free cold plunge right here, so I'm gonna jump in,
yeah.
you know, and it was cool. You know, it's funny. One of the things about social media that is just, you know, one of the good reasons why you can't pay attention. I got in the cold plunge. It was already cold, and they were like, "Do you want us to dump in more ice?" And I said, "Yeah, right." So they dumped in more ice. I'm in it, and I posted it on TikTok, and so all these people were like, "Oh, look, he it's not even cold. Like, why are you in there?" There was like three different guys like talking shit, you know, and I'm like, this is why people can't pay attention to social media, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like that's exactly why. And it was funny because, you know, I used to get so offended by comments like that, and now I'm just like, you know, you guys don't even know, you know, like I do this what, twice a week, like on the regular, you know.
It's just
um,
those keyboard warriors, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, keyboard warriors, or bot farms, you know.
yeah.
You know, they call, what do they call them? They call them troll farms. They say that there's so many of them in a couple other countries that are just like, I don't know, I guess they're here to like mess with us, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's interesting you talk about like cold plunge because like one thing that we do here is we actually have a whole guided practice where we're teaching people breath work and we're teaching them the skill and art of cold plunging. For me, like I started plunging, maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it was with a community that we'd meet every morning in Perth in Western Australia. And we'd go for cold ocean dips every morning, every day of the year. But through that community, I learned a lot around breath work and the importance of meditation and breath work in regards to controlling your emotions, your emotional fight or
Hmm.
flight response. And here I've had clients that have been to other plunge places where
Hmm.
they're just given the room and shown the plunge, and they're like, off you go. And they'll jump in 20 to 30 seconds and they're out because they go into that full fight or flight
Yeah.
control. And your body does release chemicals that makes you feel like you're in this excruciating sort of pain because
Right.
it wants you to get out of this unsafe environment. But when you're using your breath in a controlled manner, you slow your heart rate down. And when you slow your heart rate down, you have control over your fight or flight response. And the beauty of that is, we use it for cold plunge practices, but in day-to-day life, when you're confronted with stress and confrontation, like your breath, controlling your breath and putting it into a longer, slow breath process is how you control your ability and your emotions in any environment. So, but the keyboard warrior thing, I've had videos that I've put online where we're teaching breath work, and you get the
Hmm.
guys, oh, just jump in, like, we don't be a pussy, you know what I mean? But like, there is a whole practice to it
Yeah.
where you can use it as a deep meditative practice where you're in the plunge, you're in the zone, like very targeted meditation in regards to what you want to get out. Not, you're getting the physiological benefits of inflammation reduction, release of cold shock proteins, repair of damaged tissue, but when you inherently do something that you don't want to do by pushing yourself outside your comfort zone,
Hmm.
the psychological benefits of rewiring your brain to manage stress and discomfort is where I find that therapy is so significant, because it's more the psychological benefits you get out of just doing something inherently you don't want to do.
Yeah. I had some neighbors over yesterday. We were having some pizza. And we were watching a movie, and I one of the guys, we were watching F1 with Brad Pitt,
Oh, yeah.
and Brad Pitt gets into a cold plunge after a race, and my son was like, "Dad, that's you," and my neighbor was like, "Yep, cold plunge," and I was like, honestly, and he's like, he's a scientist, and he was like, I was like, I cold plunge twice a week, and I was like, honestly, man, like it's like it I was like, mentally, it doesn't really do anything for me anymore. And he goes, but it's not mental, it's physical. And I was like, no, it's pretty mental.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and I was like, maybe he's never cold plunged before, because like at first it was mental. Like at first it was mental. Like at first I would I would have to put a motivational video on. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, right? So I put on like Dragon Ball Z videos where they're like fighting and there's music and it's like hardcore, and like and I would be in there like all hyped up, and now like and that's when I was getting in there for 3 minutes, and so now I get in there for five, and I just put on like uh, a TV show, and I'm just watching for 5 minutes, sitting there, and the breath work is important, and I when I was at that event, there were some women watching me cold plunge, and they were like, "Oh my god, like should I get in?" And I was like, "Look, like just get in, breathe." I was like, "Breathe, take your time, and you gotta like relax, and you gotta like just focus on something." And a couple of them got in for like 30 seconds and they got right back out,
yeah, yeah.
and so I remember, honestly, I tell people the hardest thing, it's not even the hardest, at least at first it was for me, the hardest thing is the feet,
Feet and hands,
the
because
feet
you've
and
got no tissue,
hands.
need no like tissue there. So it's
Yeah,
just like skin on bone and nerve endings. So that's
yeah,
where you feel it the
that's the
most.
yeah, the hands. Like when I cold plunge here, obviously, my whole body's in. I'll put my hands in, I'll take them out, put them in, take them out, put them in, take them out, and because they get pretty cold,
Yeah.
and the feet, they get easier after a while. I think, I in the, what I do now, if I don't cold plunge, I go to the market and I buy bags of ice.
Yeah.
I have this big bucket at home. I put the ice in the bucket. I get in the shower. I put cold water in the bucket and I dump it on
Yeah.
myself in the
Yeah.
morning to
Yeah.
wake me up.
Yeah.
It's like it's just I'm so like I mean, I'm pretty intense. So like I just it's just one of the ways, instead of cold plunging, that I can start my day right.
So
Um
tell me this. So like when you cold plunge now, like the very first moments before you're getting in, do you find it like you know what to expect? and it's easier because you have a practice. But do you still want to, like, is there part of you that's like, fuck, like I don't want to get in here?
No, so okay, that's okay. That's something I wanted to talk about. Now, I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan, right?
Yeah.
I watch all his shows. He's a podcaster. I mean, obviously he's a comedian. He's successful, and he has a lot of friends in high places, so he knows a lot about recovery, right? But sometimes, like I there's all the podcasts I listen to, I'm always questioning, and I look up some of the stuff they say just to check on what they're saying, just because, like, people say by accidents, unconsciously they say stuff that's not necessarily true.
Hmm.
So, like, I want to ask, what's the coldest you've ever cold plunged?
It was like in Australia, but it was in degrees Celsius, but it
Okay,
was like -3.
okay. So, what do, like,
Well, I don't know the comparisons.
what's -3 degrees Celsius converted to Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Let's see, 26 degrees. So it was frozen.
Yeah, yeah. So it was in a freezer. So it was
Okay,
like, we a lot of like early days cold plunges in Australia were the chest freezers that we
okay.
would rig up, and if you didn't regulate them, that it
Oh
would
wow.
freeze solid. So, like in it, you can just see big chunks of ice because we had to break it up. So yeah, it was like
What's the coldest this one can get? I know
this.
you run it 38 to 40.
Yeah, yeah. It can get down to around 30, 33, I think,
Really?
33,
33?
34. Yeah, but like I had to find a happy medium
Right.
because I had it super cold and clients was just like too intense and too much. So I had to find a happy medium at a temperature that sort of worked for everyone.
So, like, so say me, or say someone wants to come try cold Roshi, right? And say they're like, well, I want to, say they're a seasoned cold plunger. Um, say they want, I think I have asked before, but one of your, I think it's your family member who works at I haven't seen her in a while.
She's back at college. She goes to
She's back.
University
Okay.
of Hawaii. Yeah.
Where?
University of Hawaii in
Oh, Hawaii.
Oahu.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Um, she was like, yeah, just call us beforehand. Like, if I was like, hey Troy, like, can you get it a little bit colder? Is that possible?
It takes a bit of while
It
to
takes a bit
come
of while,
down.
right?
So like we try to just keep it at a temperature that's sort of happy for everyone
Like around
because
38.
yeah, because like trying to like it's on a chilly unit, but it still takes a lot of time
Right.
to
Yeah.
sort of make that temperature come down to a significant sort of spot in regards to where we want it. So we just keep it at the same.
I think one of the things I found is the best way to get it the coldest, come first thing in the morning before other people are using it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So I think, like, say the next time I come in, I think what I'll do is I'll do the plunge, and I'll do the infrared sauna, because so I like to sweat when I work out, right?
yep,
And so, like, when I come cold plunge first, I still sweat, but it's not as much because
yeah,
my
yeah,
body is still like warming itself up.
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to, like, or what I'll do. Actually, what I'll do, even if I don't cold plunge, like I said, I'm really intense. I work with this company called TC1 Gel. It's a sweat gel. It actually makes your skin hot. It's thermogenic. It kind of burns, right? And then, so I'll put it on in the morning. I'll get in the car. I'll put the heater full blast, and I'll drive around for a little bit, and I'll really get a sweat. That's how that's how I'll start my day sometimes. So sometimes I'll come cold plunge here, and then I'll do that, and then I'll go to the gym.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things I do. I
Well,
do have some. Go ahead.
it's good because like that practice of cold plunging before actual training has been shown to increase your ability to have more stamina and performance, but it's
Hmm.
also been shown to increase natural testosterone production, specifically for men when you're cold plunging pre like weight training.
Yeah.
So it's really good for hormone balancing. I even had a client that was going through fertility testing and everything
Okay.
because him and his wife were trying to have a baby. And when he got his blood work done, his T levels were like extremely low, like around 300 or 400.
Hmm.
And then he would come in and cold plunge every day before he'd hit the gym. I seen him about 3 months after he'd been doing that daily. And when he went back to the doctor was like, what have you been doing? Because his testosterone levels had like shot up and gone through the roof, like in a
Really?
positive direction,
Okay.
just from cold plunging before
Okay.
hitting the gym. So
Especially in the morning, that's when our test levels are the highest. Say you cold plunge first thing in the morning, then you go have a leg day.
yeah, yeah,
Whew.
maximize those
Yeah, yeah,
benefits.
you really. I do have a couple questions.
Yep.
Let's see. So, ChatGPT helped me with these.
Yeah,
So hopefully this first one's not offensive.
yeah.
But it says, Troy, take us back. How did an Aussie end up creating a wellness club in Newport Beach?
Yeah, so I've, we all have a story of our early beginnings, and so I grew up in Australia.
Okay.
My mum sort of left my dad when I was 2 years old to be with my stepfather, and I was raised by both of them. They were both in my life, but everyone in my senior environment that I looked up to was a heavy drinker. So a lot of alcoholic, uh, domestic sort of violence and
Mm,
challenges with parents, not towards me, but just the way they would argue and challenges of growing up in an environment with pretty low income families, so
hmm.
always moving, a lot of arguments fueled by alcoholism. And so I grew up in a pretty hostile environment in regards to that as a little kid. And then at an early age, I was 15 when I started my trade. I have an electrical background. I started my trade when I was 15, and also joined a gym when I was 15 years old. I think back then, being born in the 80s, extremely inspired by all the action movies at the time: Arnold,
Hmm.
Stallone, Van Damme. And so I joined a gym really, really early on, and that really became the backbone to a pillar of, the best form of biohacking for longevity is weight training.
Yeah.
It is one of the things that will keep you young and strong before you even decide to do anything, before
Right.
cold plunge or sauna. Like weight training is the best longevity tool that you can do. So it's been a huge part of my life, but unfortunately, in my 20s, I went down the path of substance abuse, alcoholism, and stages of addiction. And what really kept me grounded was my connection to physical training or resistance training. Um, then at around the age of 31, I was really living life on a bad slope of.
Continue.
Yeah. So around the age of 31, I took a trip to Nepal. I did a 10-day trek through the Himalayas,
Okay.
and at that point, I was, I think as a man we evolve at different stages in our life. And for me, I'd never really had a serious long-term relationship, but I was at an age where I had a real different feeling inside of me that I was like ready to want to meet someone and start that part of my life and have a family. But the lifestyle I was living was extremely controlled around substance abuse and drug use. And I realized if I didn't make some serious changes at that point, I wasn't going to have the life and the future that I really desired. So when I got back, I packed up my whole life. So I grew up in Sydney on the east coast of Australia, and then I literally moved to the west coast of Australia, away from friends and family and influence, just to start a new life and the life that I wanted to create for myself. And that's where I really dived deep into all forms of biohacking or understanding the human existence. So I dived deep into childhood psychology and early brain development, which gave me the insights to what I was exposed to and some of the trauma I dealt with, and how to break free from that in regards to the sabotaging behaviors that I was putting on myself. And then because I had this strong connection to physical movement, I worked as a personal trainer and sports massage therapist throughout my 20s. And I just started to dive deep into more biohacking technologies such as cold plunging, saunas for detox, red light therapy. And over the next 10 years, I'm 42 now, I really evolved into just becoming a guru or someone of like, high knowledge and wisdom in this space from my own personal journey. And through that period of time, I really got to a point where I was really content and happy with who I was as a man. And then by nature, like I met my wife, Pia, who's American. She was actually in Perth where I was living at the time for 3 days, and we met the day she arrived.
Oh wow.
And then for the next year, we sort of traveled back and forth. I'd come to the States, she'd come to America, and we built this like beautiful relationship. And then I moved out here. I actually moved out here at the start of COVID. I had to get an exemption to get out of
Mm,
Australia. I left and I came here on a holiday visa, and things were pretty, um, like crazy at the time. No one knew what was happening in the
yeah.
world, and I decided to stay here illegally. And then I applied for legal residency while I was here, and that took about 2 years. And then after that, that's when we had the opportunity here, where culture is. and we decided to go all in and bring this dream of mine together with the wellness center. And now, yeah, we're just over 2 years into business and creating a really strong community, working with all kinds of people going through cancer, chemo, sports athletes, and just people just more interested in their health and wellness and longevity.
You know, I I will say, um, and you know, we hadn't spoke about it before. Obviously, we're just speaking about it now, but we share similar stories. I grew up in alcoholism and domestic violence as well.
Yeah.
So I know exactly how that is. You know, I've seen some crazy stuff. So just to hear, just to hear, and this is exactly why I do this podcast, because just to hear that someone went through some of the stuff that I went through, and to see where you are today, that's inspiring even to me, because it tells me like, hey, like there are other people who go through this, and obviously I know that there are. I'm in recovery. I'm sober right now. I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've had ups and downs. I've been, you know, I was sober for 2.5 years, and I relapsed a few months ago. So I've been sober, I think today, like 144 days, something
Yeah.
like that. And I feel good. So I know exactly how it is, and it's inspiring to see how much you've done, you mentioned, I think it took you about what, 10 years, something like that, to
That
get
was
to this.
where I made significant changes, and it was from that period of time. The first 5 years was where I actually sort of I put myself into, I mean, the first couple of years into full complete isolation. So I didn't really have a strong community. I purposely sort of took a step away from being in environments where people are drinking and using and things like that. So I really took time to just work on myself. But what I found through doing that was I actually went into like a deep cycle of depression and loneliness, because we're
Yeah,
tribal people. We need to have that connection and
yeah,
feel connected
yeah,
to people. But it's about choosing the right community and people that you want to be around, that will inspire you to go to the levels that you want to go to. That's why during the COVID lockdowns, a lot of people struggled with isolation, depression. Suicide rates went
hmm
up in a big way. And what you shared about hearing my story and yourself in regards to sharing stories that other people can relate to, that's the biggest thing. Like when we share our stories, especially as men, where we don't really have the best abilities in regards to communicating our
hmm
emotions and sharing that, whether it's like an outlook that you need to be tough and strong. Yeah, we are by nature, but we also have emotions and feelings that we need to be able to express, because if we don't, they fester deep down inside, and these are the
yeah,
things that lead us to have higher suicide rates amongst men, because we take on all these emotional burdens that we
yeah,
don't know how to express. So having good friends, good mates who are there to support you, able to share how you feel, and even just bounce things off each other.
yeah.
That's where we really start to save lives and have a huge impact on people.
I can definitely identify, like, with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
with.
can we?
I might actually want to jump in before I leave.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You guys are normally closed today, right?
Yeah, Sundays we're not open. What I'd like you to do is on me, make some time and come in and do a super healing protocol,
Okay.
which is our PMF brain tap, then the red light bed, and then the hyperbaric. It's about
Uh-huh.
2 hours you'll need, but
Okay.
come in and try that sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm totally down. Uh, you want me to do it,
yeah.
or you want you wait,
No,
or you want me to do it?
the super healing protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, on me. I said like I'll gift it to you. Just
Oh,
come in
I
and do it.
appreciate
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
man. Thank you so much. Yeah, it would my so I have this. I love working out so much. I know I'm not like the biggest guy or the leanest guy or like the bulkiest guy, but I do love working out so much. Like I'm super obsessed. I hate taking days off, but I have to, right? So I right now I'm trying to, like, I took off Tuesday and Saturday. This week I'm gonna take off Tuesday and Thursday.
yep,
So if I could come in on Tuesday or Thursday,
for sure.
I'd be down.
Yeah, we'll check the schedule. I'll get you booked
Yeah.
on it for
Or
sure.
you, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. So talking about comments and social media, right? Right now there's this guy on YouTube commenting, watching these guys makes me want to cold plunge with the toaster in my hands. And then he was like, "Oh, this is the worst podcast host ever, talking about himself the whole time." But it's like a random YouTube
Yeah, I mean,
account, whatever, man. You know, he got off. So, but
people, honestly, there are people in the world that they just get a kick out of like putting other people down,
yeah, it's like
and you got to wonder like what have they been like. I think the one thing in life is like when people have this negative outlook or judgment of others, it's like, okay, what have they been through to make them that way? Because
or yeah,
no one who's successful or doing great things is putting
yes,
other people down or
yes,
concerned about what other people are doing,
yes.
other than just wanting to try and help them. So
Yeah, or what are they going through right now? Or
yeah,
like, did their wife just leave them? Like, did they just lose their house? Or you know, and I don't mean that in a joking way because that sucks. That
yeah,
type of stuff is horrible. But you know, I see it all the time. Or like say I post a workout video and someone's like talking shit about it. I'll go look at their profile and someone who doesn't even work out. You know,
yeah,
or
exactly,
like
yeah.
when I post barber videos, some random kid who's like 13 that doesn't even cut hair talking shit. I'm like, hey man, like I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I get it.
The best thing is just not to worry about what other people are doing and just focus on your life and the impact that you're trying to have. That's the most important
I
thing.
mean, that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so you mentioned the trip. You mentioned, um, you know, the Himalayas,
Yep.
right? Um, so what was your vision when you first imagined Culture OC?
So about for the last sort of 5 years or so, my dream and desire was to open up a massive super center that has a gym, a place where not just a weightlifting gym, martial arts, having a whole performance and recovery center. So all have a place where the kids like more like a real um, a real place where like you'd have a restaurant, a part of like this super center of like wellness and health and
Okay,
fitness. But by chance, we had this opportunity come up with this suite, and it was just big enough for us to bring to life the wellness center. But like we signed a contract for this, like we just said, okay, we're going to do it. Signed a contract, and then this was an old 80s style office building, like emerald green carpets, brown walls, like and I have a trade background. I'm really handy with my hands. So me and my wife literally fitted this place out from everything: the feature walls, building up these rooms, painting, like you name it. Besides the flooring and the glass doors at the front, everything you see in here was like us putting our blood, sweat, and tears into it. So it really evolved on a day to day basis. We didn't have any architects or planners. We just like had an idea and a vision and had that in the back of our minds, and then we just created this out of that. So
I mean, and it's beautiful. I mean, you know, I've never, you know, I'm always so like when I first came in, I forgot my USB extender, right?
yeah,
So I think I mentioned to you I have ADHD,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
I'm either like super locked in or I'm just all over the place.
yeah.
So like when I come in here, like you know I think I've done the infrared sauna once, maybe no, maybe not. I don't know. I don't think I have
Not
done it here.
here,
I don't
not
think I
here.
have done it here yet, right? But so I just go straight to the cold plunge room. So I had never seen that wellness room. I had never seen that wellness room. I didn't even know you had a hyperbaric chamber in the back. You know, I have seen you do the what do you call it? The mind map.
Oh, brain tap.
I have seen you do the brain tap.
Yeah,
You know, I remember coming in one day and I was like, I think I had to ask you a question. And you were doing the brain tap right there, laying down. And I was like, oh, I had never seen that before. You know, I hadn't even seen the infrared sauna. So you know, I'm just that type of person where I'm just
tunnel
like
vision,
I'm
straight
just
into
I
the cold
tunnel
plunge.
vision,
Yeah.
you know, or I have no vision because I'm always like all over the place. Um,
Well, what we'll do next week when you on your day off, we'll do a full protocol.
okay,
So we'll start with the brain tap PMF, red light bed, then the hyperbaric, then you'll go into the cold plunge and finish in the sauna. So
okay,
that you're like full spa
okay,
day for
cool,
athlete spa day.
okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally. Man, I really appreciate that. That's actually yesterday was my birthday, so that's
Oh, happy
the
birthday,
best
bro!
birthday present I
Yeah,
could get,
yeah,
man. You know, it was yesterday.
yeah.
It's been a good day. You know, I worked yesterday. I actually in the morning, you know, since I'm in the world of MMA and combat sports, I sponsored this fighter one time. Her name is Kaylin Cabral. She's a dope human being, super great. She's been like, she's done a couple like sports massages for me. And so yesterday I went to her. I had chiropractic in the morning. And then I went to go see her all the way in Pasadena. Shout out to Fight Academy, Kayleen Cabral. Um, she gave me a sports massage for my birthday. So it was really relaxing. Um, and then I just worked all day, and then I went home and had some pizza, watched a movie with the family and,
Yeah,
and, and my neighbors. So that, and now you tell me this. That's really dope. I really appreciate that. I'm really excited for that.
yeah. No, I
Um,
appreciate you, man. I
uh,
appreciate you having me on.
I've been I've been dying to get into a hyperbaric chamber. I've been dying to
Well,
get into. I
now,
was
now it's
super excited.
your wish is fulfilled.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Um, so we were talking about your vision,
Yep.
right? Um, what makes Cultural Sea different than a regular spa?
Definitely the community connection. So we're very hyper focused. Like we do events outside of here as well. Like I actually do a lot of guided breath work,
Okay.
meditation, sound healing events where you have this out of body type experience. So that we do pop up cold plunges, but what we're going to move into is specifically culture adventure days.
Okay.
Where we get a community group, we might go hike Mount Baldy, or we might do jet ski to Catalina, and really creating that community connection. Because in a brick and mortar business like this, like I hear of people that go to these sauna places or these cold plunge places, and there's no feeling like you're a part of something special. And
Yeah.
we're very, everyone that comes in here is not just a number or someone paying their way. It's part of a community and the culture community that we're trying to really curate and bring together, because the power is within the group of people that you
Yeah.
spend your time with, and the community connection is so important. So when you come here, you feel like you're a part of something, not just going to a place to do a cold plunge or a sauna or a red light bed. You feel like you're part of a community, and I think that's really special.
I will say, whenever I text you in the morning, or sometimes I don't even text you, and I just come in, and they're like, "Oh, Andre," and I'm like, "Oh, wow," and I, I'm not sure how many different people I've seen at the front desk, but I know you guys are all family, pretty much, right?
You,
Kind of,
well,
sort of.
well, my daughter is work with us, but then the people that do work here are all really close friends.
Okay. Okay.
So like
Okay. Okay.
friends of the family we choose.
See, it feels like family.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I at first I figured it seems so cohesive here that, like, it just I was like, oh, they must all be related,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I know definitely related to your the one who's back at college.
yeah, yep, Marco.
I know definitely related to her because she mentioned she was family.
Yeah,
But yeah, it just feels like family. I'm always mentioned by first name when I come in, and I'm like, how do they even know my name?
yeah.
But or, or they know me as they or they know me as the Groupon guy.
The Groupon guy. Yeah.
But honestly, man, I want to say I really appreciate that you allow me to do it that way.
Oh yeah, of
I
course, man.
really appreciate that. That's been this place has been so impactful in my life recently. This I look if I don't really know now. Maybe we could talk about this real quick as far as research and cold plunging and the body go, right? So
Yep.
everybody's using AI, so I do ask ChatGPT a lot. So ChatGPT told me that if I'm plunging at, like, say, 38 degrees, I really shouldn't be plunging more than 11 minutes a week. What do you think about that?
Um, I I don't agree with that,
Okay.
because I've to me that's like a bare minimum of like what you would want to do to get the benefits out
Right,
of
right,
cold
right, right.
plunging. And even the topic comes up a lot around, specifically there was recently a doctor, a woman's doctor, who really spoke about the negative effects of cold plunging for women at certain
I've seen
temperatures.
that too.
It was on Mel Robbins, I believe, but that was sort of debunked by a few different people who go for like clinical research and studies behind it. But with cold plunging specifically, like because we teach it in a certain way where you're really controlling your response to the environment, you can be in like homeostasis, a controlled state of discomfort, where you get a huge amount of benefits from being in there. But if your immune system is compromised, or you're going into shock without breath control, and you are releasing a huge amount of cortisol, it's going to have negative effects on the body. So that's why understanding the practice, being able to control your response to the environment, there's a huge amount of like I tried to cold plunge nearly every day since I started, and the benefits from a psychological point of view, in regards to how I feel, and I'm pretty, train quite a lot. My body's ability to recover quicker. I've got a good buddy who trains jiu-jitsu at the gym where I used to train. He's in his 40s, and he trains 3 or 4 times a week. Before coming here, he would used to struggle just to get to the gym, like feeling banged up. Now he
Yeah.
cold plunges 3 or 4 times a week and uses the red light bed.
Okay.
And he's like, his workouts and training now, he feels like every time he's ready to go. So,
Yeah.
um, the thing with biohacking is that everyone is different.
Yeah.
Everyone has a
Yeah.
different biological response. So saying that there's one size fits all, that doesn't really work. Whether
Yeah.
it's a diet or cold plunging, for you or not for you, but like for someone that might not resonate with them. They might not have control. They may have not negative side effects where it's just not the right therapy for them.
Yeah.
But like for me, like cold plunging regularly, the way it rewires my brain and my stress management and how I feel physically afterwards. Like I only get positive feedback from doing
Right.
that on a
Right.
regular basis.
Right.
So like that might be a good guideline for someone, but like if you're getting benefits out of it and
Yeah.
no negative side effects, then use it as much as you desire because it's something you could use every day if you're getting positives.
Yeah.
Positive.
I think one of the things I realized, right? So one of the reasons I use it, other than recovery and the psychological, right, is so one of the things I do, other than barbering, I drive for Uber, right? And so occasionally I'll be driving around, and I try to only have I consume a, a lot of caffeine probably,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna blame it on Andrew Huberman. You know
Yeah.
who he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blame it on him because he said that as long as you don't have more than like 1,000, I don't have 1,000 milligrams. He said
Yeah.
as long as you don't have 1,000 milligrams a day, you're in the safe. So I probably consume about 400 or 500 in the morning, and that's how and then I work out, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to have any caffeine the rest of the day. I gave up coffee like 2 3 months ago, right? Um, and so I just have caffeine from like pre workout, maybe Neuro Gum,
Yeah. Yeah.
Alpha Brain. They have like a gummy, right? And so I'll have that, right? So say it's like 2 or 3 o'clock, and I'm driving Uber, and I'm at John Wayne Airport, and I'm like sleepy, and I have a passenger, and I'm like yawning, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't look good. I'm like, I feel tired. I want to keep driving another like 6 hours. Then I'll come here and I'll
It's the
cold plunge,
best thing you can do.
and it does help. It does help. So that's one of the reasons I use cold plunge too. It's like instead of having more caffeine in the middle of the day, I have insomnia, so I have to watch when I take caffeine, how much I take, what time I take it at. You know what I mean? So I'll do the cold plunge, and that's what helps me, finish the rest of the day. So like if there's a construction guy that wakes up at 4 in the morning, works out, goes to work, or no, wakes up 4 in the morning, gets ready, goes to work, and then he wants to work out, but he's like tired after work. Boom, cold plunge.
It is the best because you get a huge as your body goes through that thermogenic effect of warming back up, your body naturally releases a huge spike of dopamine.
Yeah,
So you get that euphoric feeling, that burst of energy, and that can last up to for a good 4 or 5 hours.
yeah.
So I mean, I did like last year I did where I wanted to make sure for 30 days straight I did a cold plunge every day.
Oh,
And then one day after work, I hadn't done a plunge, and I have one at home as well in my
oh,
garage.
okay.
And I was exhausted. It had been a long day, and I got in the plunge around 10 o'clock. And then I went from being exhausted, ready for bed, jumped in the plunge. I was still up at like 2:30 in the morning because I couldn't get to sleep because you just get that whole burst
Yeah,
of
yeah,
energy.
yeah,
So it's a great healthy way to really
yeah,
optimize and boost our energy as well.
yeah. And I was okay. So this is what I meant to say this also. So one of the things you mentioned about what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. Biohacking is unique to everybody.
Yeah.
So one of the things I realized was sometimes I would work out and then come cold plunge. I realized that that's not something I should do because when I work out and then I come cold plunge right after, I get really sore. But if I work out, wait like 2 3 hours, then come cold plunge, it's way better for me, right? At least just for me specifically.
Yeah, and ideally, it's actually better for muscle growth and development of muscle tissue because cold plunging post exercise depends what you've done. Like if you've done
Yeah,
something more like aerobic, that's causing a lot of inflammation, or like a ultra marathon runner,
Hmm.
that's good to bring inflammation levels down. But when we're talking about weight training and muscle development, you do want to wait that 2 or 3 hours before hitting the cold plunge.
Yeah. So that's something I learned. That's something I learned recently. Like I said, I use ChatGPT so much. So I asked it, and it was like, so like the other day, I was like, hey, I just worked out at like 8 a.m. It's 10 a.m. now. Do you think I could cold plunge? And it was like 2 to 3 hours is a perfect time. So I came in and I did it. I might think. Let's see. I worked out at 8:15 a.m. So 11 o'clock. That's perfect. If I jump in right now, after that's perfect.
Yeah,
I'll be able to go to church and I'll be able to pay attention.
yeah,
Because I will say, for some, I don't really relax a lot. I'm not a relaxer, right? But when I go to church, I guess I'm so like at peace.
yeah,
I'm like, I'll have just came from the gym having pre-workout, and I'll start getting sleepy and I'll start falling asleep. I'm like, what's going on here? And but it's when you feel that peace, everything is so different. Um, let's see. Also, you mentioned, so do you think you'll have like a gym one day also?
yeah. I definitely want to evolve this into having a space where we can have, your workout area, and also bigger rooms and facilities for, like, yoga, breath work,
Hmm.
things like that for sure.
Oh, the breath work. That's what. Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So they're always talking about meditating, which I don't do. But one thing, also Andrew Huberman, what I started doing is he has this thing called Yoga Nidra, non-sleep deep rest, where it's breath. It's basically breath work,
Yeah,
and that is the one form of breath work I do. Where he has this like 10 minute. He has a 10 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute. I usually do the 10 minute one. If I can't come to cold plunge, right, and I'm driving, and I feel sleepy. So he says his breath work is good for sleep or for waking up.
yeah,
So I use it. So it's like I'll drive. I'll put the car to charge. I'll recline the seat all the way back. I'll do the breath work for 10 minutes. I fall asleep real quick, and it's over, and I wake up, and I'm good to go. So breath work, like you it really is important because it's something I just recently like discovered. It helps me. Like say I like to donate blood whenever I can. I can't do it often, but whenever I can. So say I worked out and I took pre-workout. Obviously, your heart rate's a little bit higher, blood pressure maybe is a little bit up. So I do the breath work, and it dramatically drops.
yeah,
And then I can donate blood.
yeah.
Whenever that time is.
Because the breath work is really about balancing out your nervous system, and you
Hmm.
you you switch between sympathetic and parasympathetic, when you do breath work, and that's why you can, really, we live such a fast-paced life where we're continuously breathing quite shallowly, so not taking in full diaphragm breaths.
Hmm.
And what this does is it keeps you in a stress state majority of the time. And then when you can, tap into that breath work and bring your parasympathetic state in, where you're going into that recovery and just slowing the body down, that's where you get the benefits of either one being able to boost your energy system, or bring it back down just to go into
Yeah.
that recovery state.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes I'll also donate plasma.
Yep.
Right. I'm out here trying to save lives, I guess. But one of the things I'll do is because you can't plunge after. It's not good to plunge after you donate. So I'll come if I work out. I'll come plunge.
Yeah.
Everything gets lowered, and then I can go donate. Heart
Yeah.
rate, blood pressure, they're all right back to
Yeah. At
where they should
optimal
be.
levels. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's perfect.
yeah, and so you've got cold plunge, hyperbaric chamber. You've got the wellness rooms. You've got the mind map, or mind tap, right?
Brain tap. Yep.
Brain tap. Which treatment blows everybody's mind the most?
Well, it's interesting because the cold plunging, I've people who will come in, and they're reserved in regards to showing who they are. I'm a
Hmm.
new person. They're a new
Hmm.
person. And then we take them through this guided practice where we take them through the breath work, take them through the cold plunge, and you see this sense of achievement and this, support of someone guiding you through something significantly hard. And I've had so many people come out of that room afterwards, and they're a completely different person. Like,
Yeah.
they want to give you a hug. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? This bond is created by someone actually, taking care of you and pushing you past your limits. But I would say, like, when it comes to something that's more non-invasive and relaxing, the red light therapy
Red
bed.
light therapy.
That thing, you go into this deep state of relaxation. It has so many amazing benefits in regards to anti-aging, longevity and recovery, performance. So great for athletic performance, increasing like cellular energy, ATP production,
Mm-hmm.
increases microcirculation and blood flow. So you get this feeling of euphoria, just being in that state and being on that relaxed state of mind.
I think I've also heard red light could be good for your eyes.
It is been shown to regenerate
Yeah,
eyesight,
yeah,
stimulate. It's been shown to stimulate
yeah,
hair growth. There's just a huge amount of benefits that continue coming out around
yeah,
red light and
yeah.
the benefits. Technically, so there's two wavelengths of red light in the bed and two wavelengths of infrared light, and technically these are rays of light we would naturally get from the sun.
Yeah.
The early morning, late afternoon, we're just not exposed to the sun enough to get these benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So on the bed, we're basically simulating what you would get from sunlight, but just
Yeah.
in a controlled state. And
Have you ever heard of like grounding, like in the morning,
yeah,
like where they mention like you go outside with your shoes off, step in the grass, get in the sunlight. That's like how you're supposed to start your day. Where I live, I try to do that, but sometimes there's a lot of trees, so like the sun's not always the brightest.
yeah,
But whenever I can get up and I'm like, okay, like I don't feel right now. Like I need to go out, take off my shoes, go outside, step in the grass, and get some fresh air. I do try to do that. Um, so like I said, I'm always looking for ways to uh to just be a better human being, I
yeah. Well,
guess.
that's the thing. There's like simple like biohacking techniques like that where you know there was a period of time where people would be laughed at for having these hippie style
I,
ways of living, but
yeah,
it's now we have a lot of science and research behind.
yeah.
We do carry a lot of negative energy when we're grounded and we have our feet on the earth. We're letting
Hmm.
go and releasing that energy. Naturally, I'm a summer person. When the sun's out and I feel the sun on my skin, I just instantly feel more recharged, more
Yeah.
vibrant. It's a mood shifter. So and but now we have all the research that says no, I'm not some kook who's just trying to like hug a
Right.
tree. There's actually
Right.
benefits to being out in nature and having that connection to the earth and the energy that releases into the ground.
Yeah. I mean, even me, like my body runs hot. I'm always hot, right? But I love the sun. I love summer. I love the sun. I feel like the world is just different when it's rainy, when it's gloomy, when it's gray outside. Like it's just the world is different. And I think you know one of the things that I've been hearing and I truly kind of believe now is like there's so many rackets in life. I don't know if you're familiar with that word racket, right? There's so many rackets in life, and so like one of the things that I truly feel obviously skin cancer is a thing, right? But I feel like even sunscreen is maybe a little bit of a racket because there's so many. I feel like I was just talking to someone about this, right? Where I was like, I feel like the benefits of the sun far outweigh like the cons of the sun. Like if if you're like a normal human being that's not prone to like skin cancer, you know what I mean? Because like now, like you get all these people who are like, oh well, I wear sunscreen all the time, and I'm like, well, I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah. Well,
for
you could go down the rabbit hole with this because, like, the thing is, like, the sun that you want to receive is generally the early morning and late
okay, okay,
afternoon.
early morning, late afternoon.
Middle of the day is where the UV is at its highest, where
Okay,
you're going to actually get,
okay,
burnt. But also, like, I mean, uh, sunscreens are filled with chemicals, and you're
right?
putting chemicals on your
Yeah,
skin and then
yeah,
like frying it with the sun.
yeah.
I think there's a discussion to be had there because really, since the increase of sunscreen, that's
There's
where
been a
you've seen
sense
an
increase
increase
in
in skin cancer. So,
yeah.
but it's also about like the times of days where you're best.
Okay,
It's best to receive sunlight. Like, is generally that it's generally when you can look at the sun without it hurting. So, like
okay,
that early morning, late afternoon when the
yeah,
sun's on the horizon,
yeah.
that's generally the best time to get your sun rays in.
Yeah, even when I'm driving, sometimes like the sun's bright and I'll put on sunglasses, but sometimes I'm like, no, 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 I want the sun.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I want like I'll kind of like look if it's like morning or late night or like later in the day, I'll try to look into it intentionally because I'm like,
yeah.
I want that.
Well,
I
it's
want
funny
that.
you mentioned sunglasses because there is a study that shows that when we're out in the sun and we wear glasses, basically we're shutting off the body's natural ability to release chemicals within the skin to protect them from the sun because it's
Mhm.
simulating being
Mhm.
inside. So like having like not wearing something and covering your eyes, there's actually a chemical release in regards to what your body releases to protect your skin from the sun. Also, UV rays are actually really good for us because UV rays are what react with cholesterol in the body. That is how we produce vitamin D.
There you go.
So there's so many benefits to being in the sun.
Yeah.
It's just about choosing the time you're in the sun, how much sun you're exposing yourself to. If you're just laying out in the sun for 3 hours without any protection, then
Yeah.
you're going to run the risk of
Yeah.
getting burnt, and who
Yeah.
knows what that could lead to.
Yeah. Now, before we finish up, I got a couple of things. Two things. Um, you do peptides. You're doing peptides also,
Yeah,
right?
we have peptides here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm super into peptides. I'm also, I also do hormone optimization, um, on my own. But I do my blood work, and recently I used BPC 157 a couple months ago. I want to in the next. I'm gonna save up some money so I can get some Retta.
Yep.
Because I think I mentioned to you I have this issue at night and it's getting worse right now. So I really want to get that started. Um, and I have heard there are some huge benefits to like Retta and testosterone put together. I have a family member, right, who I'm not gonna by name, but or say which member he is, but he just had surgery on his ankle, and I'm like, hey, like I think you should really look into getting some peptides so you can heal faster. I was like, who Aaron Rodgers is. He just tore his Achilles. They said he would be out for like a year. He was only out for like 3 months. Obviously, he's got a lot of money, so he's got the best doctors. But he used peptides, he used testosterone, and he got better in like I think it was like 3 months or something like that.
Yep.
And so this person was like, well, our peptides FDA approved, and I'm like, look, they should be, but they're not because FDA, pharma,
They want to
they
control it.
just want to control it, and I'm like, they should be, and they would be, but they're trying to make it so hard. Um, so what would you say to somebody who?
So I mean, peptides in regards to the sale and distribution of them is a grey area, just because of like what you mentioned with big pharma trying to have control over the industry. But I mean, peptides are naturally occurring in the body. We
Yeah.
naturally produce peptides, and what we've been able to do now through compounding pharmacies is synthesize them to create those amino chain links of certain peptides. And one peptide that we've used with great success here is it's called the Wolverine blend.
Yep.
So it's a combination
TB.
of BPC 157 and TB 500.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what peptides are doing is they basically signaling the cell to do what it's naturally designed to do. So peptides attach to the cell receptors and then stimulate that cell's response to do what it's designed to do. You have different peptides for weight loss, recovery, but that Wolverine blend basically it's getting your cells to repair damaged tissue, ligament and tendon recovery, reduce inflammation. So it's going to speed up the process of your body's natural ability to do what it's designed to do on a cellular level by signaling those cells to speed up that recovery process. So all peptides basically say not fit for human consumption, but it's just their way of getting around
Yeah.
the industry in
Yeah.
regards to. But I will be. You do want to be cautious of
Right.
where you get
Right.
peptides. So
Right.
the peptides we sell and get here are from a doctor here in Newport who
Okay.
uses a compounding pharmacy.
Okay.
So they're legit. They come with all their readouts and their data of their purity. So you know what you're getting. But the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of peptides like black market peptides
Yeah.
where you don't know what's in them, you don't know who's making them, you don't know how well they're tested. So
Yeah.
that's you don't just want to buy anything.
Yeah. If now there's two sides to that coin, right? If they made it legal, there would be more places that made them safely, but also the government would probably control it and make them super expensive. Just like, you know, um, a couple years ago, you could get TRT like at a game day Men's Health for like 100 and something dollars, right? And now that it's becoming more popular, now it's like 250 a month plus like another 250 for the blood work a month.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, wow, they were making it affordable for people, which is, I'm super convinced, and I really believe that like if hormones were made more available to men and women, like we would have a society of people who are more hormonal, if they had their blood work done properly, who would be more hormonally balanced and would be way better off, because we're given so much crap in food. You mentioned the black market for, the danger of like black market, and it's like, it sucks because we have that in food, we have that in drugs, we have that in, we have that in so much stuff we consume. We have that in microplastic. I'm like a huge microplastic. I'm like super anti
Yeah,
microplastic.
yeah,
I'm like, and I try not to go down the rabbit holes, but it's just, I hear it from so many people, from so many sources, where it's like, man, like, it's just, I feel like if so many more people were informed, and if people did research, and if they became more informed and knowledgeable, like a lot of us would be so much better off.
yeah. Definitely, I think it's important in this day and age to like I. You don't want to be self-diagnosing, but you
Yeah,
should have a level of understanding
yeah.
of simple health and biology because what I tell people is like you want to find a doctor who's looking for the root cause or to
Mhm.
optimize your health and wellness rather than a big pharma rep.
Yeah.
Because if you walk in and you share certain symptoms and they're like, this pill is going to fix you, you don't have a doctor. You have a big pharma rep who's just trying to
Mhm.
sell their pharma
Yeah.
products.
Yeah.
A real doctor is going to look further into like what you just mentioned, doing your blood
Mhm.
work, understanding your hormones, looking at your micronutrient levels, vitamin D, all these different levels to get a really solid outlook. And then looking at even lifestyle choices. Are you physically active? What sort of foods do you eat? Do you
Mhm.
get the right amount of sleep? How much water do you drink? Because you want to start with like the baseline idea of like things that you have control over and looking for how you can start with a strong foundation rather than just trying to prescribe a pill that one isn't going to fix the problem. 90% of the time, it's going to cause more issues where they'll put you on another pill.
Mhm.
I think the average adult in America is on 4 prescription drugs. That's crazy, and
Yeah.
because no one's looking for the root cause of like
Yeah.
why,
Yeah.
where this started, what's causing it, and that's
Yeah.
that's what you really need
Yeah.
in the form of a doctor because yeah, hormones control everything from mood to weight gain to sleep
Mhm.
issues. Like so, having a balanced hormonal system, both men and women, is
Yeah.
extremely important.
Yeah. And then, where do you see old cultural sea going in the next few years?
I want culture to be like a household name in regards to wellness and recovery. I think we have an opportunity now to really educate our communities and make a huge impact on an international level. And I'd love to see culture grow out to be in multiple different states, multiple different countries, with the aspect of us being the leaders in not really, I am grateful for the opportunity to work with people who are sick, but really reversing the society challenges with sick care and moving more into healthcare and
Mhm.
optimization, teaching people the benefits of these therapies or just lifestyle hacks so that we're moving away from dis-ease and moving more into better practices for longevity and health and wellness.
Do you know who Brigham Bueller
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
You
yeah.
remind me of him a little bit, like just your words and the direction you want to go. Like you guys sound, like had I never heard him, I wouldn't know when you mentioned compounding pharmacies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about, but because I've heard him, I'm like, okay, now I know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But this has been great. I think I think I think we should do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
We can go back into more like MMA, more of your life, more of the wellness. I think we can make some content when I come do the the
On the well, your birthday
yeah,
present.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm super down. Everywhere I go, like my friends who have, whether the small business or big business, I'm like, hey, you want to use me for content? Go ahead. Like, you want to use me for promotion? Go ahead. You're always welcome. I'm always willing. Um, I really love this place. I'm gonna keep coming here. This is the spot that keeps me energized and recovering and well. And I really look forward to my birthday present. Thank you.
Sweet, bro. Thank you for having me on. We
I
love having
appreciate
you,
you,
man.
man. Uh, Everybody, come check out Cultural C Newport Beach on Bird Street. come use a hyperbaric chamber, come use the wellness room. There's also, you can also come get a facial. You can also come get your eyebrows done, I think, right?
Eyebrows,
I,
lips, permanent makeup.
eyebrows, lips, permanent makeup, um, everything. They have red light. They have the brain tap. They have cold plunge. They have infrared sauna. They really got it all. Come check them out. Let's get this started to be a community and a lifestyle and a way of life. Troy, I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, brother.